Hi and welcome back. You may remember in our session we explored how difficult conversations can take a sharp turn. You go in with logic and good intention. You may even go in with a very carefully worked out plan, and suddenly you find yourself in the middle of a storm, in the middle of a defensive spiral or an emotional shutdown. So how do good communicators shift gears in the heat of the moment? One very practical tool you can use is the reframe. Now, reframing means changing the way you interpret a situation, not denying the reality, but choosing to see that situation through a more constructive lens. So it's not sugarcoating or painting a different picture. It's about finding what is most useful to tell yourself in that moment. So how do you take yourself from a unresourceful situation, which gives you access to emotions and frameworks which are probably not particularly helpful in that situation, to taking yourself into a much more resourceful situation where you have access to a different set of tools and emotions. So let's bring this to life. Imagine this thought: they're being difficult on purpose. Now that immediately triggers frustration, maybe the need to push back, maybe some other negative thoughts. But if we reframe that and say, they might be under pressure I can't see. Do you see the shift? It opens up another bridge of empathy. It stops you from seeing them as an obstacle and maybe start seeing them as somebody who's reacting to their own challenges. Now, this doesn't work in every situation, but giving yourself the option to reframe the situation allows you access to a much bigger, wider set of resources. Let me share a quick story from a past client. A team lead came to me and they were fuming after a meeting, and he said, my colleagues keep shooting me down on every idea I bring up. It's like he just wants to block me. Every idea I bring up, he just shoots me down, even before I open my mouth. So we reframed that, and I asked, what might your colleague be trying to protect? That pause unlocked something. It turned out the colleague wasn't trying to block the ideas. He was just worried about the technical debt that was piling up for too many rapid changes. And once they had the conversation, the resistance simply evaporated and it became a collaboration. And they started building better solutions together. That's the power of reframing. It can shift you from a deadlock into a dialogue. So here are a few reframes that you can try in your own conversations and have fun with them. So you could move from they're a problem, they're always resisting me, to they're protecting something that matters to them. That gets you curious as to what is it that matters to them so much. You could move from the conversation is going really badly to this conversation is tough because it's really important. You could shift from they're just being negative to they're scanning for risk, and that could be more useful. So reframing works because it changes your emotional state, and when you shift, the conversation also shifts. So the next time you are in that situation where you feel the heat rising and you feel yourself ready to react, this may happen in your next conversation. It may happen this morning, it may happen later on this evening, but for sure it will happen. Ask yourself, what else could be true here? What else is at play? And how would I respond if I assumed that they were doing their very best? That question alone will stop the spiral in its tracks. Here's a reflection for you to think about this week. Think about a recent conversation that you've had where you got stuck, or it was tense or emotional. What was the story you were telling yourself at that moment? What do you think would have happened if you had reframed it? Maybe write it down, play it through in your mind, practice this shift, feel what it feels like to give yourself access to a different set of resources. It's a muscle that you have to keep using. Reframing isn't a trick. It's not something that you can just pull out of your pocket whenever you feel like. It's a muscle, and with practice you can get better and better, and then this can become your default when you're under pressure. Now in our next video we're going to unpack the model that we talked about in our session, the FOE model, the FOE model, the facts, opinions and emotions. See you there.